So to close this out, we have a very special guest, and she has requested that we don't bother with an introduction. So please put your hands together for Miss Cicely Simpson.
How is everybody? Yeah? They gave me the bell, so y'all are in trouble. I got a bell and a hat, so we're going to see how this goes this afternoon. How is everybody? Good day? Yeah? Are y'all tired? Yeah? So you want me to hurry up and make it quick? Yeah? Okay. Who said yeah? I love it. Somebody's like, yeah, hurry up and shut up. Okay. All right. We're going to have some fun with this bell as we go. You get the clicker up here. Who named him the professional ding-a-linger? Clay. Anybody offended if I use that term or that title? Y'all are good? All right, well, we're going to have some fun this afternoon. I am not going to stand up there. We're going to walk around, make it interactive, and I am going to hang on to that bell. When I spoke to TDOT, there were pom-poms. So now y'all giving me a bell, so I'm just warning you, props are a good thing. That means we're going to have a lot of fun this afternoon and send y'all out of here with a very good day, okay? We're going to make it interactive, ask some questions. If you have questions, we're going to do Q&A as well, so nothing's off the table. I spoke to a group a couple of weeks ago in San Diego, and I asked if there was a heckler, and a guy raised his hand. And I thought, I am so screwed, and you know what? He gave me a hard time the entire time. So are there any hecklers in here that I should be prepared for? Oh, I got one in the back. Are you that person, ma'am? You could be? You going to keep it interesting this afternoon? Okay, yeah, that poor guy wore me out. Wore me out. And I was like, I'm never asking that question again. All right, well, we're going to jump in. How many of y'all have your phones with you? I don't even know where I put mine. I think mine's back there. Let me grab it. All right. Are you playing games on your phone? No, you're just hanging. You got two phones. Wow. All right, everybody grab your phone. Grab your phone. Even in between bites, grab your phone. I will hand this back to her when we're done. Grab your phone. Anybody in here like selfies? Anybody in here post on Facebook your selfies? No? Well, this is going to be a first for y'all because we're gonna do this. All right, hold up your phone. Hold it in front of you. Everybody hold your phone up. Hold your phone up. I promise there's a point. I promise there's a point. Hold your phone up. For the folks who are like, what is she doing? Hold your phone up. There we go. Everybody's got your phone. All right. Open it up. Let me turn this way. Okay, you got your camera app facing you. All right. Take the selfie. Don't close your phone. Everybody got their selfies? Everybody got it? All right. Don't close your phone. Hold your phone in front of you. Look at that selfie and ask yourself one question. Who did you just take that picture of? Is it a critic and a champion looking back at you, somebody who's got confidence? Or somebody who wakes up every day and says, I don't want to do this, and I'm tired, and I'm my own worst critic, and you know what? I don't want to go to work today. I don't feel like it. How many of you are critics? How many of you can be tough on yourself? How many of you are tough on yourself more than you should be? Okay. How many of you are like, nah, I got this. I'm good. Okay, do you have it like 50% of the time? Do you have it like 75% of the time? How many? For those of you who raise your hand and says, nah, I got this, there's a few of you. Is that every day? Sorry, I'm looking at you because you raised your hand. Is it every day? Listen, my friend, I will call you out, man. I am that person for you this afternoon. Is it every day? No? I'm looking at both of you, by the way, because you both raised your hands. Every day. You're just every day you're just crushing it. Every day. By the way, nobody ever says that, but okay, you're gonna be that person. All right, so tell the rest of us. You crush it every day, man. You got it. What's your mindset? How do you have that kind of confidence? I'm built in? Somebody teach that to you? You gotta want it? You gotta be one with it. Born with with it. No, hang on. Not everybody's born with it. Are you born with it or do you learn it? You're letting me go with this, aren't you? You're just letting me go. You're just going to let me go as far as I want to go, aren't you? You're just like, she's going to give her the rope and she'll hang herself in a second, aren't you? Okay. What about you, sir? Not every day? 50% of the time? You give it 70. Baller. Look at you. Okay. Anybody else who's 50 or 70% of the time? Anybody else? Anybody else? What's your name, sir? Both of you? Jalen? Marcus. Jalen and Marcus. Anybody else like Jalen and Marcus? And I know you're not going to raise your hand now because I know their names. You're not going to raise your hand now for nothing, are you? I couldn't pay y'all $1 million to raise your hand right now, could I? No. Okay. And there's the gentleman over there who's like, what is happening right now? The reason I asked that question is because, not unlike what was talked about a few minutes ago, you have a choice to make every single day about how you show up. Right? I love the success at every level that's on your brochure. Because you get a chance every day to decide what that success looks like for you, right? Right? And let's be honest. You got to be honest. Some days you don't feel like it. Some days you're not crushing it. Some days you're like, this sucks. And some days you're like, I got this today. So the idea here is to have more of the I got this todays than I don't want to do this today. That's the champion or the critic. How many of you are football fans, baseball fans, sports fans? Please tell me you're all SEC fans. Ah, look at you in the back, raising the feet. There we go, right? Look at you. Ooh, got the UT. Boom, go Balls. That's exactly right. Most of us bleed orange in here in some shape, form, or fashion. Think of a champion. Think of somebody who has a mindset of even when they don't feel like it, they push through. Who's the champion that comes to mind? When I say sports, when I say champion, who do you think of? Yell it out. Oh, good Lord. Wait a minute. Yell it out. Get one at a time. Oh, God. Really? You had to bring Alabama. All right, you and I are going to talk after this. Who else? Nick Saban. Seriously? God, that's not what I thought you were going to say. Who else? Phelps. Who? What'd you say in the back? LeBron James. Michael Jordan. Who else? Bear Bryant. How many folks in here are Alabama fans? Too many. Okay. Anybody gonna say Peyton for goodness sakes? Dolly Parton. Listen, Dolly just kills it every day, okay? Can we just agree? Dolly's just like, she's that person. Anybody else want to name out, when you think of champion, anybody, a Tiger fan? Anybody a golf fan? All right. All right. What do those folks have in common? What do those folks have in common? Lots of money. Don't we all want lots of money? Lots of money. What else do they have in common? What does a champion do? Win, train, work at it. Well, I'm sorry? Endurance, resilience, mindset. They can miss a shot and go down the court and do it again. They can miss a shot, they can miss the field goal, get back up, do it again. It's mindset. It's mindset. And that is something that when you think of this idea of pulling up your chair, it's mindset, isn't it? One person I think of who led during constant change 40 years ago is a lady named Shirley Chisholm. Anybody know who that is? Shirley Chisholm. Anybody know who that is? Yes? Who is she? I love it. Yes, she was in Congress. Hang on. Ding, 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 ding. This bell's going to have some fun. You get a free copy of the book, signed copy of the book. I'm going to hand this to you. Anybody else? Thank you, ma'am. Shirley Chisholm was the first African-American congresswoman. She was in a lot of people's eyes a champion back in the 70s because she She did some stuff when it wasn't cool, when no one else was doing it. She had a famous quote: if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Bring a folding chair. It's exactly what we were just talking about. There's no right or wrong way to do your career. There's no right or wrong. A champion, there's no right or wrong way for them to show up every day. They show up how they want. So I took her quote, because to me, people say to me all the time, anybody know where Woodbury is? Anybody know Canyon County? Shotgun County? That's where I'm from. You blink, you miss it. 10 miles, 10, 12 miles from here. People say to me all the time, how'd you get from Woodbury to Washington? By the way, nobody goes to D.C. from Woodbury. It's a whole other topic. The guy at the liquor store asks me that all the time, because I take Tennessee moonshine back to D.C. People love it. And people say to me all the time, how'd you get from Woodbury to Washington, D.C.? And I say, I use that quote. Because what that quote says to me is exactly what a champion's mindset is. That's why the C in chair is for champion yourself. Because every day you get to decide whether you're leading yourself in this moment. You have to lead yourself before you can lead others. How many folks in here are leaders of your teams? Folks are looking to you. Folks are depending on you. That's a hard role to have. Right? It's hard to show up every day knowing you got a team of folks who you got to motivate. A team of folks who need your help. A team of folks that are depending on you. You have to learn to lead yourself before you can lead others. So this idea of pulling up your chair and championing yourself is about self-leadership. You get to decide every single day how you show up. You get to decide if it's a champion kind of day where you're crushing it like Marcus every single day. Marcus, you are so not off the hook for the next few minutes, man. You're so not off the hook. Or you get to decide, you know what? Today's a critic kind of day. I don't think I do this well. I don't show up well. I got in trouble at work. We all have those days, don't we? So you get to decide every day whether you're going to be the champion or the critic. Tom Brady has a famous quote, I didn't come this far to only come this far. It's the quote he uses. Somebody asked him, how do you get pumped up for so many Super Bowls? And he said, I didn't come this far to only come this far. There's more left in me. I got more to leave on the field. And that's what keeps me going year after year, day after day, practice after practice. Isn't that awesome? I gotta be honest with you. I heard that quote and I was like, I'm not a Tom Brady fan. And Lord knows I'm not a Patriots fan. But that quote tells you what a champion's mindset really is. You didn't come this far to come this far because you know you got more to leave on the field. So this idea of championing yourself, my friends, is there is no right or wrong way to do your career or your life. Everybody says, no, you got to go from here to here to here. No such thing. You get to pull up your chair, even when you're not invited, you get to show up in ways that only you can decide when you want to do it. So change is hard, right? Can we agree change is hard? Right? Nobody likes change. Everybody says you love change until you're on the receiving end of it and then you're like, I don't like it so much. But think about that. You have the power to do what you do every single day the way you want to do it. That's going to excite some of you and it's going to scare the crap out of the rest of you. That you have that much control in how you show up every day. So there are 4 things that we tell everybody about championing yourself. Know your value, know your experience, know your accomplishments, know your lessons learned. When you're coaching a team, those are the 4 things you coach your teams on. Why? Because every champion knows their value. People say so often, what do you do when you give them your title? What do you do every day? I work for TDOT. Hey, who are you? Well, I'm this person at TDOT. No, you're not. That's a title. That's not who you are. Who you are is how you show up every day. But so often, my generation, your generation, a lot of us, we were taught there's one way to do it. You go to work, you go home, you make money, you provide for your family. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But when somebody says, who are you? You get to decide how you answer that question. It's not your title. It's not your job. It's who are you and what is the value you bring to TDOT every single day. That's who you are. Everybody in here is different in the value you offer. How many of you would say you're hard workers? Okay, please raise your hand. Listen, if I gotta hit you on that one, I'm gonna have Marcus hit you on that one, or Jalen hit you on that one. Right? Work ethic, that's value. If you come every day and you're working hard, that is value that you offer. How many of you would say you're outside the box kind of thinkers? Or you're good project managers? Or you're able to solve problems when there's a problem? Yeah, look at those hands going up. Guys, that's the value you bring every single day that has nothing to do with your title, but it's all about you. So when someone says next time, who are you and what do you do? Answer with your value. Answer with who you are. That has absolutely nothing to do with your title, but it's what you bring every single day. Are you with me? Yeah? No? Lost you a long time ago. Heads nodding? Okay, I got some heads nods. I still got some hands, I still got some arms crossed. All right, we're gonna keep going. Sound good? Everybody understand why you want to champion yourself at work, why you want to pull up your chair in a way that nobody else is doing? Because your value is your own. Because what you bring to the table is totally up to you. How you pull up that chair every day is totally up to you. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? I mean, does that excite you that, hey, you know what? I may actually be able to do this the way I want to do this, and the way that I want to do it. Is that, how does that sit with y'all? How many of you are still skeptical? Anybody still skeptical that, she doesn't get it. She doesn't know how it works around here. I got to do things a certain way. Anybody in that box? Anybody thinking, I don't know that I can show my value at work. Anybody thinking that? You're not willing to raise your hand on that one, are you? That's okay. I want you to think about that, though. What is the value you offer that no one else can? What is the value that is unique to you? That is this idea of championing yourself. Is every athlete you named, somebody said they make a lot of money because you know what? They know what they're worth. And they know the value they offer every single day, and they have a champion's mindset that even when they don't feel like it, they keep going. That's called discipline. Motivation is when you feel like it. Discipline is when you don't. How many of y'all remember Peterbilt Motors? Used to be over in Madison. Y'all remember Peterbilt? Before it closed? My father was a Marine. And he decided he was going to teach me the value of hard work so that I appreciated the education I was getting in Nashville in college. He put me on the assembly line at 6 a.m. every morning. I was 18 years old. And by the way, I live in Woodbury, which is an hour and a half from where Madison is. Madison's on the other side of Nashville. Yes, I woke up at 4 o'clock every morning, was in the car by 4:30, pulled into the parking lot by 6, was on the assembly line by 6:05. That's called discipline. That's called miserable, by the way. But that's how my father decided to teach me the value of hard work and discipline. You're going to do this when you don't want to. You're going to go every single day. You're going to put in the best that you have on that assembly line every single day. And it's going to teach you more about how hard work and value and who you are than any job you ever have in your life. Does that make sense? How many of y'all had parents who put y'all through the ringer sometimes with some hard, I see the hands going up. Yeah, they decided to teach you the value of hard work. Kicked my butt 2 ways to Sunday, every single day that summer. But the value I learned of hard work, the value stays with me to this day. People say to me all the time, how do you work as hard as you do? When you start off your life like that at 18, those lessons stay with you, don't they? Those lessons stay with you. All right, let's move on to H. The H is for honesty. How many of you would call yourselves direct communicators? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing? Okay, tell me how. Tell me your name. Chris, tell me how you're a good direct communication helps. You gonna leave me hanging, man? Yeah. All right, why is it good? Okay? Chris says it's good to be a direct communicator because he gets the point across. Y'all agree with him? Who agrees with him? Raise your hand. Who disagrees with him? Okay, why's it bad? That's exactly right. Chris is exactly right. The one thing you have to realize about honesty in your life and at work is, how are you perceived by other people? Honesty is I call it how do you land on people? How do you land on people? And Chris is exactly right. I can't tell you, listen, like I said, my father's a Marine. If I think it, I say it, and that gets me in trouble all the time. And some of y'all are shaking your heads, so I know you have probably the same problem I do, which if it comes right here, it probably comes out. And at work, that is not always appreciated, because people say, I love direct communication until they're on the receiving end of it. And then they don't like it so much, and I see a lot of heads nodding, right? Y'all been there, you know it. And it impacts how you're perceived. When you say know how you land on people, is the perception of you different than how you perceive yourself? Right? I had to get real honest with myself because I've gotten some really bad feedback in my career that I'm too honest. I'm too driven. I work too hard. The exact quote was, I leave dead bodies in my wake, and I'm like, whoa, that's harsh. Why? Because I achieve results at all costs. Not everybody wants to work that hard, and not everybody appreciates that approach. So people ding you for it. Worst thing that ever invented in America was the 360 review. Because there's somebody who's got an angle out for you, they're going to get you on a review. Y'all can say amen to that. You've all heard the feedback that's come your way, and you're like, who said it? Who said it? Who did the review? And then you want to know who said it versus what the review actually said. You're like, I know who said that comment. I know who made that comment. But if you're honest with yourself, that's how you're perceived. It's not somebody dinging you. It may actually be how you come across. That's honesty. Do you have blind spots you need to pay attention to? Do you have weaknesses that are holding you back? Sometimes we're our own worst enemies, right? We can be our own worst enemy, right? That's the critic showing up. We can be our own worst enemy sometimes because people say you're perceived one way and you're like, nah, y'all don't know me. You don't know me. I don't know what they're talking about, I'm fine. Are you though? Or is somebody giving you a kernel of truth that you don't want to think about? That's honesty. That's how, when you show up at work every day, that's hard. But sometimes the feedback you're going to get will serve you well, even if you don't like it. Right? Even if you don't like it. I see some heads nodding. The A in chair, how to pull up your chair, how to make your own way. Their idea that there's no career ladder, it's a career lattice. It's how you want to do it, is adaptability. Write this down if you're taking notes, or if you have a computer. Adaptability is the core competency you're judged on every day, but nobody told you. Think about it. If you do it right, you might get a attaboy, you did a good job. If you do it wrong, you're going to hear about it, right? Right? And I see heads nodding and I see smiles. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you're an adaptable person in your career, in your life, you got this. You got this. If you're not adaptable, do you know what they did? Oh my gosh. And then you hear the whispers. And then you hear do you know how bad they screwed that up? You hear it all. But nobody ever told you how important it was to be adaptable in situations that you're not expecting. That's what adaptability is. It's situations that pop up every day. How many of y'all have fire drills or things that pop up you don't anticipate every single day? A lot of you. We tend to think of adaptability as your physical circumstances. What about the person who's sitting next to you right now? What if they have a different perspective than you? Are you adaptable to hearing what people have to say? Are you open to hearing what people have to say? Or do you think, no, I got this, it's my way. I know what I'm talking about. They haven't been here that long, they don't know. They want to try something new, they don't know. What do you think? Any of y'all ever been in that situation where you've had to reconcile different perspectives and be adaptable to somebody else in the moment? who said, hang on a second, I don't want to do it that way? Raise your hand. Adaptability to physical circumstances is easier than adapting to people who don't agree with you, right? Because then you got to open your mind to a different perspective, right? Right? I'm going to pick on, what's your name, sir? Sorry? Matt? Okay. You and I are sitting in a meeting. You ready for this? You had no idea this was coming, did you? We're sitting in a meeting one day. I'm sitting here talking. I was talking to a direct report of mine. Obviously, wasn't Matt, but it was a young lady. We were sitting right here close to this, talking. She picks up a pin and chunks it at my head. Anybody ever done that at work? Please say no. If you've ever chunked something at your boss, I'll be in the back corner when we're done. We should probably have a conversation. Does everybody agree with that? I'm not kidding. We were sitting this close. She picked it up and chunked it at my head. What do you think I did in that moment? I wasn't that quick to dodge it. What'd you say? What'd you say? Somebody said something over here. Kick? What would y'all have done in that situation? Oh, you want to pick up the chair? Okay, y'all are a tough bunch. I didn't think about it. Should I have picked up the chair? Okay, I didn't think about it. How would y'all react if somebody said, pick up the chair? How would y'all react? That's hard, right? How do you deal with that when you're sitting with one of your team members and somebody picks up something and chunks it at your head? And you didn't expect that. Shock. I'm pretty sure my mouth fell wide open. Because I was like, no, you didn't. Yes, she did. She did. And you know what? I sat there and looked at her in that moment. These are the 3 best words you're ever going to have in your career, in your vocabulary. Ready for this? Help me understand. I said to her, help me understand why you thought that was a good idea. Help me understand why you just chunked a pin at my head. Help me understand. When you're adaptable and deal with diverse perspectives, bridge the gap. Don't be accusatory. Listen, in that moment I could have been like, are you out of your mind? I probably could have used some other words. She started crying. She was having problems with her husband. It showed up at work. Told me the whole story. Thank God the pen did not hurt. How many of you are leaders and you sit across the room from somebody on your team and they're having a bad day? And the bad day came to work. Guys, we don't separate our personal life from our professional life. We don't. We don't. Now, I'm not saying your team member is going to chunk something at you. If, again, see me in the back of the room if you want to have that conversation. But we bring our whole selves to work, don't we? And sometimes that's what's happening at home. And that's where I'm asking you, adaptability is not only about the job you're doing every day, it's about the people you interact with every day. Look on time. Adaptability is somebody sitting across the table from you that you don't agree with, but you've got to figure out how to bridge the gap with. How do you do it? Help me understand opens a conversation and invites a conversation. Not that somebody's wrong or right, because listen, I could have told her, you're out of your freaking mind and I'm firing you on the spot. And I didn't do that. When I said help me understand and opened up a conversation, I never would have had a chance to have otherwise. Agreed? Agreed? How many of you have ever heard help me understand? Or how many of you already used that already? Yeah, so some of you are like, yeah, it's already part of your, it's already a tool in the toolbox. The most powerful 3 words you'll ever use in your career. Let me tell you something, it helps at home too, but it's the most powerful words you'll ever use in your career because now you're bridging the gap of communication. Adaptability is not about physical circumstances all the time. It's about who are you talking to and how are you relating to people. It's why it's the core competency everybody told you got to have, but nobody ever told you it mattered. It matters, and you do it well until you screw it up, and then when you screw it up, that's why. Does it make sense? That's why you hear about it. People expect you just to be adaptable. You'll just figure those things out. And how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that? I in chair, pull up your chair, make your own way in your career, in your life. The I is for impact. How many of you would have thought influence? What else did you think the I stood for? What else? Give me some other thoughts. Imposter syndrome, maybe? How many of you know what that is? How many of you just want the speech to stop as quickly as possible? Don't worry, we're coming to the end. I'm messing with you. I is for impact. How many of you have been told you need influence at work, in your career? You need to be influential. How many of you have been told that? How many of you have been told influence is important? A few of you? Really? Only a few of y'all have been told you should be? How do you get people to do stuff then? You got good charm and good looks? Oh, who said yeah? Listen, you and Marcus are sitting over here. This part of the room's trouble. I got it. Hang out over here. I got it. Okay. Have you been told to be I'm sorry, what's your name, ma'am? Dawn? Have you been told to be influential at work, or you should be persuasive? Exactly. You're in safety. You have to. Exactly. What if I told you influence is important in safety, but it's not enough? What else would you say is important? Communication. Exactly. Effective communication. Exactly. What else? Training and development. Exactly. 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 Dawn's exactly right. Influence is part of the equation. It's not the only part. What you want to do in safety, what you want to do in construction is impact. Y'all have a tremendous impact every single day in the lives of Tennesseans. Would you agree? You have a tremendous impact. Listen, I needed y'all about 2 months ago because I was hitting down 24 when y'all were paving. I wasn't paying attention. I blew out 3 tires. I heard boom, 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 and I was like, oh, crap. I was trying to get to the airport to fly back to D.C., and no, I wasn't going anywhere. I was like, who do I know at TDOT that I can call so they don't move my car out of the construction zone? And then, that was before I ever talked to Jamie or Clay or anybody else. And it hit me in that moment. I was like, you know what? Y'all have impact on a lot of people. Because I was like, who can I call at TDOT so they don't tow my car off 24? But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Y'all impact the lives of people every single day in this state, don't you? Dawn's right. Influence is important. Effective communication is important. Training and development is important. But what does that mean? That means you're people who have tremendous impact. Right? How many of you think, I just go to work every day? You don't. You don't. You don't. And I appreciated y'all in that moment. I appreciate y'all more now that I'm getting to know you today, but I appreciated y'all in that moment because it kind of hit me, you know what? I've always thought about that, but it really hit me in that moment. You guys you have tremendous impact on the people you serve every day. You have tremendous impact on each other. So ask yourself, what kind of impact are you having? Is it a positive impact you're having on each other, or is it a negative impact? I had a lady on my podcast a few weeks ago, and she starts every keynote with counting to 7. 1, 2, by the way, that's painful on a podcast, listen to somebody to count to 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what she said to me? Every time you meet somebody, they make an impression of you, and you have an impact in the first 7 seconds. I had never thought about it before. And she said to me on that podcast, what kind of impact are you having in the first 7 seconds you talk to somebody every day? What kind of impact are you having in the first 7 seconds at work every morning? That blew my mind. Has it blown yours? 7 seconds. And she said there are studies in science to prove it. So every keynote she does, she counts to 7. And I'm like, well, that's awkward silence. She's like, yeah. But think of how long but how short 7 seconds is. And she said, Cicely, how do you show up in your 7 seconds? And I said, I have never thought about it. I never thought about it. You make an impact on somebody in 7 seconds. What kind of impact are you making? That's why when we did this pull up your chair, this idea of making your own way, people of impact show up even when change is happening. People of impact understand it's training, it's development, it's effective communication. People of impact do it differently. Would you agree? If you think you're a person of impact, raise your hand. If y'all aren't raising your hand, why not? Why not? Ask yourself why not. Are you a person of impact, or you try to be a person of influence? Influence is episodic, it wanes. You can do something good today, and tomorrow you're in the doghouse because you screwed up, right? Influence is episodic. Impact is lasting. That's what you do every single day, is you get to have a lasting impact on the people you serve. How many of you understand really the kind of impact you can have every day? The kind of impact you already have that maybe you don't fully appreciate. How many of you are in that category? No hands are going up. Does that mean y'all don't appreciate the impact you have every day? Or does that mean you don't realize it? Which one? Sometimes both? Yeah? Makes sense, doesn't it? Y'all are in operations, safety. Who else is in the room? Project management. Who else is in the room? Did I hit everybody? Construction design. Listen, as fast as Middle Tennessee has grown, if y'all don't fully appreciate your impact, everybody else does. Everybody else appreciates what you do, whether you appreciate the impact you're having every day or not. The question is, do you want to be that person of impact every day? That's what Pull Up Your Chair is all about. When you're not invited to the table, you show up anyway. You're a person of impact who knows that when you're in service to other people, it's the greatest impact you could ever have. And that's what y'all do every day. That's the opportunity you get to have every single day. Let me tell you an impact story, and you're going to laugh at this, but I promise you it's true. So I've worked for a couple of Tennessee congressmen, and then I went to work for Dunkin' Donuts. Yes, it's a sweet gig. Yes, there were free donuts and free ice cream. Yes, there was free coffee. Yes, I ate every bit of it. You can probably tell. And in that job, I was 4 months into the job. And it was during the 2008 presidential election. How many of y'all remember the 2008 presidential election? Some of you are like, I slept through it. No, I'm kidding. You should raise your hand. Barack Obama versus John McCain. And the marketing department had a great idea. Y'all ready for this? We're going to introduce new ice cream flavors for the two presidential candidates. And I was like, that is an awesome idea. They wanted to do chocolate vanilla swirl for Barack Obama and peanut brittle for John McCain. Yep, let it sink in. Yep, let it sink in. Let it sink in. Your first interracial president, and y'all want to do a chocolate vanilla swirl. Are you freaking kidding me? And John McCain is 72 at the time, and you want to do peanut brittle. Are you freaking kidding me? And I'm pretty sure I probably didn't use that word. Y'all, they were dead serious. And by the way, I got this in an email. It's not like somebody said, hey, we have a great idea. I got it in an email. And I am sitting there going, oh, I'm going to lose my job. Because if I let them go forward with this, they're going to be a laughing stock. They're going to be a laugh. Who does that? The marketing department. Now, I love marketing department. That's a whole other topic. So I sat there on my hands and I thought, do I say something? Do I not say something? Should I just say something and then start packing my office right now? I mean, hey, nobody knew who I was anyway. They were like, why do we need a political person here? Well, I don't know, because you want to introduce a chocolate vanilla swirl and a peanut butter brittle ice cream. Maybe you need somebody to help you out of that. So I replied to the email and I was like, have you thought about? And I listed all the reasons why that may not sit well with the American people. That may be a bad idea. And I thought, do I hit send? Or do I just let this PR disaster happen? What would y'all have done? Would y'all have hit send? How many of you would have been like, nah, I'm going to pretend like I didn't see that email? How many of you would have been like, I don't know? I hit send and thought, I am so screwed. Right? Yeah, somebody said that's the response. I am so screwed. And I hit send and nobody responded. And I thought, oh, of course. Of course nobody responded, because that's freaking torturous. And then I see the boom, 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 boom in my inbox, and I'm like, oh, okay, somebody responded, right? A couple people responded. And you know what they said? That's right. Tell me your name, sir? Danny, that's exactly what they said. We never thought about it. You're exactly right. Never thought about it. And I'm sitting, going, oh, dear Jesus. I don't know what's worse, that you didn't think about it, or that I'm the one right? I'm the one pointing it out. But you're right. They said you were. Go ahead. You're gonna say something. I stayed as far away from marketing as I could after that. But Danny's right. You know what that got me? That got me invited to a lot of tables. You know why? Because to be a person of impact means sometimes you speak up when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes you say, have you thought about this? Not to be disrespectful, but to provide a different perspective. Sometimes you say, hey guys, I know this horse has left the barn, but you got a second? You probably want to think about this before this one gets too far down the road. People of impact show up when it counts. Y'all do that every day. How many of you have said that? Have you thought about? Hey, are we sure about this one? Don, you have? Yeah? Is it hard sometimes to do that? It's entertaining? Okay, that's not a response I've ever heard. Why it's entertaining. That's right. That's exactly right. She's exactly right. She said, you don't know what the response is going to be when you speak up. She's exactly right. You don't know. But did you do what you needed to do by speaking up and saying, have you thought about? So if somebody makes a different decision, it's no longer on you. You shared your opinion. You shared the information you had. You did your role, right? You did what you were supposed to do. You brought a different perspective. You brought the perspective that you're supposed to bring. But she's right. You don't know what the response is going to be. So do you sit there and not say anything? Or do you say, have you thought about it anyway? And if they don't go your way, you say, that's fine. I just want to make sure you're aware. I just want to make sure people of impact speak up when it's uncomfortable. And make your voice heard when you have a perspective, even if it's a perspective that's not taken. You guys with me on that? Yeah? That's a hard one, though. That's a hard one. That truly takes... That takes, like Don said, you don't know where it goes. But you did your part. And you made your voice heard. And that's the part that counts, right? That's the part that counts. So, those of you who are in those roles where you're like, have you thought about? Keep raising your hand. Even if you don't know what the response is, keep raising your hand. That's what people of impact do. You bring a different perspective, and you help people get to yes in a different way than what they thought, because you're offering a different perspective. You challenge the status quo. And guess what? That's hard when you're at work every day. It's easy to check the box and move on. It's much harder to say, have we thought about? Now look, your opinion may not be taken. Don's right. But did you at least speak up and be part of the process? Did you pull up your chair and say, hey, I want to ask a question? That's all I'm asking you to do, is think about how you show up in that moment to offer a different perspective. Listen, I could have lost my job in that moment. But I knew if I didn't say something and it went bad, somebody would have came back to me and said, why didn't you say something? You were copied on the email. You didn't say a word. So I was like, well, I can raise my hand and look stupid. I had no idea what the response is going to be, but I raised my hand and I said it. And the rest was out of my hands, right? The rest is out of your hands, right? Any questions on impact? Some of you are shaking your heads. Some of you are like, yeah, you've been there. You've done that. I can tell by the responses you're giving me. You probably didn't know, like Don said, what was coming back to you when you said to have you thought about. But you said it anyway, right? Right? And Danny's right. I probably should have gotten a marketing job. I probably could have made a lot more money in marketing. I ran as far away from marketing as I possibly could. But you know what that got me? It got me reporting to the CEO. So then they wanted my voice at more tables. And even in projects and business, And listen, I was involved in the construction of restaurants. Good Lord knows I know more about construction of restaurants than I should, because then everybody wanted my perspective. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that? I've called the Department of Transportation in North Carolina, in a small town I've never heard of. Somebody blocked a drive-through. Those are the kinds of things I got after I raised my hand and said, have you thought about it? And everybody's like, oh, we need you over here, and we need you over here, and hey, you want to come be part of this? I had no idea the impact that one email would have on the rest of my career, but it changed everything for me at Duncan. It opened doors for me I probably couldn't have opened for myself, because no one had ever said that he thought about it. No one had ever said that. Marketing always got their way because it was marketing and they made the money off the products. So people of impact, lead through change, lead in those moments, ask questions. Not that you have to have your opinion taken, but you ask the question. You ask the question. Last thing we're going to wrap up with, we're out of time. Yes, sir. What did I do about the ice cream? I love that you asked that question. What do you think they did, Danny? Listen, you and me both, because good Lord have mercy. What do you think they did? No clue? No? You see Duncan in the news? You know what they did, Danny? They said you were right, and they pulled the ideas. Instead, they just went with, actually, I think in that case, they just went with, I think it was a regular vanilla ice cream and just put some sprinkles on top, if I remember correctly. Some sprinkles for the election, the American flag, and that's all they did. Yeah, there you go, you're exactly right. But can you imagine if I hadn't said something? All right, exactly, that was my response too. I was like, holy moly. These folks are, it's like, they're getting ready to screw all of us. You know what? I probably could have saved all the marketing at that point, but I'll tell you what, no one knew what I did before that, and they all knew what I did after that, right? So I took a heck of a chance, but it turned out when the economy tanked in the fall of '08, they saved my job because people were being laid off left and right in the company, and they kept me around. I didn't have a boss because my boss had gotten fired, but they kept me around. Yeah. So was it worth it? 100%. Was I scared to death? 100%. Would I do it again? I have no clue. But you're exactly right. That's exactly how it went. So R is for regrets. How many of you are surprised that I would end on regrets? Couple people. Any of y'all ever did something you regret? Exactly. Today? Okay, wait, what did I miss before today? What did I miss? Do y'all want to ask him to leave the room? We can ask him to leave the room and y'all tell me what happened. It's all good. They love you. Well, that's awesome. How many of you are surprised that the R is for regrets? What would you have thought? Resilience? I'm going to wake up the back of the room back there because I see some folks are... I'm wrapping up, don't worry. Huh? Respect. Ooh. You and I can write the next one together. How's that? I like respect. That's a good one. It didn't occur to me, but that's a good one. By the way, this bell is just way too much fun. I've resisted picking it up because I know y'all are going to kick me out of here if I ring it too much, but where'd JV go? Professional, what'd y'all call him? Ding-a-linger. I gotta write that down so I don't forget that. That's probably the best line I've ever heard in a speech I've ever given as a professional ding-a-linger. I love it. How many of you would have thought something else besides respect? Resilience. Great one. What else? How many of you ever missed opportunity because it looked like work? How many of you have said no or you just didn't respond to something because you thought, I don't have time? How many of you look back on that and wonder what that was? Right? How many of you miss opportunity because it looks like work? And none of us want more work, do we? Think about it. For somebody, listen, I learned it the hard way, and Danny's gonna love this one because it almost bit me in the butt. I got in February 2021, middle of the pandemic, everybody's sitting at home, got nothing to do but be, annoy each other. I'm looking at LinkedIn, which I never do, and there was a message sitting there. Some dude, no clue who he was, said, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I thought, man, spammers. Everybody's sitting at home with nothing to do and they're spamming my LinkedIn. So I ignored it. A couple of days later, he hit me again. Just wanted to make sure you saw my note. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And I was like, man, some people have way too much time on their hands. I ignored him. He wrote again and I thought, okay, now I'm just going to jerk your chain because you pissed me off. Dude, go get it. Like, what are you doing? Yes, I thought about writing a book. Why are you bothering me right now? He said, would you be open to a call? And I thought, good Lord, this guy's not going to let this go. I got on the phone, somebody else jumped on, and I was like, holy crap, this is real. And they were like, what are you talking about? I was like, who reaches out to somebody on LinkedIn about writing a book? And they were like, we do. And I was like, well, who's we? And they said, it's Forbes Books. And I was like, shut up. By the way, y'all are Forbes. Do you not have any way to find authors and to find random people on LinkedIn? And they were like, we're looking for people with interesting stories. And I was like, well, I don't have one of those. And they said, yeah, you do. And I was like, no, I don't. I work in DC, like thousands of other people. I was like, I don't have one of those. They were like, yeah, but you've been in business and politics for 20 plus years. We're kind of curious to know more about it. And the guy's name was Harper Tucker. And I said, are you from the South? And he said, how'd you know that? I was like, your name is Harper Tucker. And I said, are you a preacher's kid? And he's like, did you Google me? And I'm like, your name is Harper Tucker, dude. Are you a preacher's kid? He's like, yeah, from South Carolina. I was like, see? And we immediately became friends. He said, are you a preacher's kid? I was like, yeah, I'm the worst kind. My dad was a Marine and a preacher, so I was screwed twice over. I was like, man, it didn't get any harder than my household. And we struck up a friendship. And that friendship turned into a best-selling book that I never would have had the chance to have otherwise. Because some kid reached out and said, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I ignored him twice. Because it looked like work. And I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. And then I thought, how many more LinkedIn messages have I missed over the years that I probably should have paid attention to? So you know it. I spent the next week going back through years of messages going, what else did I miss? Crap, has somebody else reached out to me and I ignored them? I was hitting people 5 years ago going, hey, just saw your message. How's it going? Because I was scared to death something else was sitting there. How many times have you missed opportunity because it looked like work? Because it didn't come in the way you thought. It wasn't packaged the way you thought. Who would have thought in the middle of the most tumultuous time in this country when all this change is going on, opportunity comes your way in the midst of change? Something I learned very early on in my political career. You don't have to be a Trump fan. It's cool. I don't tell this story to many people, but first time I met President Trump, he was all business. I was like, everybody says you're a disaster on television. It's like, you're pretty cool. And he just wanted to talk numbers. And everybody, I worked for the restaurant industry at that time. I was the chief spokesperson and chief lobbyist for the restaurant industry in America. And so I was the liaison to the Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Trump administration, and now the Biden administration. I've worked with 4 U.S. presidents. And in the midst of the Trump administration, everybody's like, oh, it's chaos. Oh my gosh, there's so much change. Look at what's going on in this country. And yes, my parents would call and be like, what are you doing up there? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not, because my parents, pretty much when they saw it on TV, it's always my fault. Because I was in D.C. So y'all are screwing something up there. It's like the guy from the liquor store, why do you want to go to D.C.? And I was like, well, I don't know, because I get paid for it. It's where my job is. And everybody saw chaos in 2017. Oh, it's different. We've never seen different before. Oh, there's change. And I said to the entire restaurant industry folks, I was speaking to at a conference one day, I said, calm down. There is opportunity in chaos. There's opportunity when change happens. Don't see the change in chaos for what it is. Find the opportunity. Find the opportunity. And they all looked at me like I had two heads. What are you talking about? We've never seen anything like this before. He wants to change everything. And I said, yeah, but there's opportunity in chaos. So calm down. We have to find the opportunity. And in 2017, which is unheard of in the first year of a presidential administration, we had 10 public policy priorities we were trying to get through the federal government. We got 9 out of the 10. Why? Because we found opportunity in chaos. Because we looked for the opportunity when change was occurring. How many of you look for opportunity when change happens? Marcus, you're just bringing it home, man. You are bringing it home, buddy. Look at you raising your hand. I just want to come hang out with you every day. Right? What do you do, Marcus? Yeah. One more time? Operations supervisor. You got a role for me on your team? You gonna hire me? Shut up. You're gonna hire me. Y'all heard him, right? He's gonna give you a job? Because Marcus is bringing the heat every day. He's sitting there raising his hand going, yeah, man, I found opportunity in chaos. You believe him, Jim? You did? Okay. Very few people can find opportunity in chaos. But when you do, sometimes it's the moment you've been waiting for. It's the moment Danny and I were talking about. So when you have regrets, be careful that change is hard, but there's opportunity in change. It's how you lead through it. It's how you show up as a person of impact in that moment. Don't dismiss change for the sake of change. Don't dismiss work because it looks like could be an opportunity in there. Y'all with me? How many of y'all are thinking of right now, oh, I know one of those moments? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Yeah. There's some of you who are like, yeah, we've been there, haven't we? We've missed opportunity because it looked like work. That's called regrets. That's called regrets. What questions do y'all have for me as we wrap up this afternoon? What questions do y'all have for me? Is this making sense? Is this helpful? How many of you are waiting for the snacks outside? If you have a question, I will come, hang on. I will come your way and let me take this mic off. Listen, me either. I'm allowed now. Tell me your name again. Pam? All right, Pam, I'm handing it over to you, my friend. Here you go.
So I'm one of those people that speaks up
Okay.
and offers, but maybe sometimes the same person speaks up again and again, and one person can be easily dismissed as a crazy person or just, oh, that person's always talking. So how do you and all of us, if we want to speak up and say, have you thought of this or have we considered that? But if you're the one that's always speaking up, how do you not get dismissed or maybe get other people to speak up too?
Yeah, that's a great question. Anybody else in that category with Pam? Yeah? Yep, Don's in that category. So I'm in that category too, right? So we're all in good company. When you're always saying, hey, have you thought about? And sometimes you are that lone voice. You are that person providing a different perspective. Let me tell you the worst thing that's ever been said to people at work. Don't be the smartest person in the room. That's what they're paying you for. They're paying you to be the smartest person in the room. They're paying you to have done your homework, to know what you're talking about, to raise your hand and say, hey, I researched this. Have we thought about? When people say don't be the smartest person in the room, it's the dumbest advice you can ever get. You're there as a subject matter expert. Use your expertise. So that's what I would say to you when you say that Pam Don was raising her hand. You don't get paid to sit there and not say anything. You have a perspective, you've done your homework, you're prepared. People prepare and they never say a word because they don't want to say anything, because they're scared to be that person. And I'm like, no, I read the material. I do my homework. I'm not going to sit here and be quiet. But yeah, you can be dismissed sometimes because they're tired of always hearing from the same person. But I would tell you, keep going, keep speaking up, because it's not fair to you and it's not true to you for you to not show up as who you are. And that's the idea of this pull up your chair, right? Shirley Chisholm ran for president in the 70s before any woman ever did it. She was the first African-American president. She didn't wait to be invited. She didn't wait for it to be cool. She led change at a time when change wasn't comfortable. She spoke up at a time when her voice wasn't welcomed. That's why I'm so inspired by her, because people say, how have you done it? I'm like, I've invited myself to tables when I wasn't supposed to be there. And I would tell you, keep doing the same thing. Yeah, keep raising your hand. And if somebody ever says, don't be the smartest person in the room, tell them it's the dumbest advice you ever heard. Because that's not what you're there for. And I don't know about y'all, but I was raised, you don't take a paycheck you don't earn. So I was raised to raise my hand and say something. That's why my mouth gets me in trouble all the time. Anybody else? Anybody else? Has this been helpful? Thank y'all for the hat. Well, let me ask if there's any more questions before we call it a day. Any questions from y'all up here? I'll put the front of the room on the spot. How's that? Any questions from y'all?
Endorsement of the behavior idea. So if you don't speak up, it's your fault. So I ask everybody on my team to not let me drive off a cliff. Now, I may not always listen to what you say, and we may drive off the cliff anyway, but at least you warn me.
Are we driving off the cliff again?
On those vertical and horizontal relationships, so I said at ACEC, I'll say it again to this group, those are golden handcuffs. So we will all die together, or we will all succeed together on these project teams. So just keep that in mind whenever you don't want to speak up.
Listen, he's not wrong, y'all. He's not wrong. When you're part of a team, right, you're all in it together. I love this. I picked up this. I'm taking this with me. Success at every level. That's what people of impact do, is you get to create the success you want at every single level, every single day. And you get to pull up that chair and make your voice heard, even when it's not comfortable to do so. And you get to make your own way, not in a career ladder. Not even in a career ladder. Somebody said to me recently, it's work-life Jenga. Screw balance, right? Sometimes you got to give a little over here and a little bit over there, but you get to do this your way. And that's what this idea of pull up your chair is about. So let me just, before I turn this back over to Jamie, we're in the back of the room. We have signed copies of my book. If you go to that link that's on the screen, if any of you want it, if any of you want to purchase it, I have a few copies up here I'll give away for the first couple of folks who come up to me afterwards. Lots of good Marine stories in here from my father. I didn't curse, don't worry. Forbes wouldn't publish it. It's good political stories in here, but most importantly, it walks you through in much more detail the 5 strategies we talked about today and how you can pull up your chair every single day in your career, your life. But at the end of the day, what I want y'all to remember, if you don't remember anything else, is you have to lead yourself first. It all starts with you. I don't care what anybody says about confidence. I don't care what anybody says about anything about confidence. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. You don't have to do anything. But it all starts right here. Every decision you make every morning, the reason why we did that selfie is because when you look in the mirror every morning, you got a choice to make. You showing up that day? You the critic or you the champion that day? Are you Nick Saban? God help me. Can't believe nobody said Peyton. Are you the Nick Saban that day? Or are you the LeBron? Shout out in the back. There you go. Are you the Michael Jordan? I gotta write that down. How are you showing up? That's why I asked you to do that selfie exercise, because over the last 45 minutes or so, you can decide to take this information or you can decide to reject it. But at the end of the day, you're the one looking at the mirror every morning making the decision of how you show up. And how you show up impacts your team. It impacts you every single day. So the ultimate lesson I can leave you with is learn to lead yourself before you lead other people. Because self-leadership, every decision you make, it all starts right here. And so I appreciate y'all's time. We'll be in the back hanging out. If you chucked something at your boss, I'll definitely be in the back to give you therapy advice and counseling advice. Because I didn't duck and maybe you did. But I appreciate y'all's time today and the opportunity to be here with y'all. So I'll turn it back over to Jamie, and I thank y'all very much.
Assistant before you go,
Where's the dingle? Wait, what do we call him?
JJ.
Dingling or JD, where are you, buddy? Do you want this back?
Yeah.
I'll give it to you so you have it for tomorrow. There you go. All right.
I'll keep
No,
it for
wait,
now.
I gotta take that
But before you
turkey.
go back,
Yes.
we would like to share something with you. Thank you so much for your contribution to our program here and for the work that you've done with the book, and congratulations on the book. We've put something together for you as an unusual gift. As we are TDOT, we do things a little differently sometimes.
Shut up. That is freaking awesome. Oh. Oh, wow.
And if you
Okay,
really,
y'all just officially became like the best people ever. Not that you were not already.
if you really want to know about the retro reflectivity properties of that sign, Danny Lane in the back there will be the guy to talk to. Very
My
highly
buddy
engineered.
Danny in the back. Check that out, man. I am absolutely humbled. That's pretty cool. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure to be here with y'all, and y'all, I mean, this is just that special. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
So be sure to check out her table in the back. Ask her any questions you were afraid to ask in front of the group. I've actually got a couple myself.
Yeah, and listen, y'all can find me on social. I'll give you my cell. You can email me, reach out to me anytime. I'd love to talk to you. But I'll be in the back for a while.
Good deal. Thank you again. One more round of applause for Cicely.